Dear ladies and gentlemen, in Germany we have a saying that the last one gets bitten by the dogs. So I hope this will not happen to me today. So let's tell me about the important project of the management plans. As you know, every World Heritage Site and every World Heritage City needs to make a management plan. And UNESCO doesn't give us too much advice how to make it, what should be in there, how shall we define the process. Therefore, I would like to tell you, first of all, a little bit about the site, that you understand the context, then about the management plan that we made in Regensburg, and it was part of a bigger project where we developed a new methodology how to make management plans in a good and sustainable way. It was called the HERO project. And in the end, I tell you about the outcomes of the whole experience. So when it comes to Regensburg, you see these beautiful pictures. It's a 2,000-year-old town. It was listed as a World Heritage Site in 2006. It's quite large. It has 183 hectares and 1,000 architectural monuments. At the moment, we have a very big problem with flooding because it rained for the last 3 weeks. We had the worst flood for the last 130 years, so we are in a state of catastrophe. So I'm not happy that I cannot be back at home at the moment. We are one of the only authentically preserved medieval towns in Germany. We were almost as important as Cologne in medieval times, and it was a medieval center of trade and by the same time a European center of political power. We had the imperial diets. It was a political system that was meeting there and was ruling wide parts of Europe at that time. So what's the basis for the management plan? You might know that we are asked in the operational guidelines in paragraph 108 that each property should have an appropriate management plan or other documented management system. But behind this, UNESCO doesn't give much more advice. How should a management plan look like? How can we make it? Who shall we involve? Etc., etc. So we found that what is the deeper sense of making a management plan? We not only make it for UNESCO, we also make it for the cities itself. And the basic idea is we want to keep a balance between the preservation and, of course, the development that we have in the city. We don't want to have a museum, and we don't have a totally modern city where all the preserved buildings are lost. So somehow we have to find a balance between these two poles. But how to do it? It's not so easy. So in Regensburg, we defined an overall umbrella for our management plan, and again the two poles were the preservation of the cultural assets and the promotion of the city's vibrancy. And I will not read the text to you, but basically it says that the umbrella, the overall objective for the management plan is exactly this. We are recognizing Regensburg as a very important place in history and as a World Heritage Site, but we want to keep it alive and also developing. So when we started the management plan process in 2007, we firstly defined a clear roadmap how to proceed. And this we did together with the other partners in the European cities. I come back later to that. And we ended finally in February 2010. So we took about 3 years. So it's not an easy and quick task to make a really good management plan. First of all, we set up a working group. This was the core body. And as you can see from the list, it involved a wide range of not only people from other departments within the city council, but also like local economical clubs or the tourism office or the marketing club or a private NGO that cares for the World Heritage Site. So this was the core working group, and we met all together, I think, 17 times. And beside this, we made a separate part for the citizens. We called this World Heritage Dialogue. It was like a 2-day event where everyone in the city was invited to take part. Finally, about 80 people came and took part, and we repeated the whole process that we made with our internal working group. We repeated it with the citizens. So in the end, I'll show you in a minute what we did exactly. We had these two groups. We focus very much on the needs of the inhabitants. So within our core group and also with the citizen group, the first question is, what are your needs? What do you really need? And from these needs, we voted the most important needs, and then we started to define objectives. This was really very important also for the citizens, because we wanted to develop something that is really behind the citizens and that is really used by the citizens and that is not coming top down. So we ended up in defining several fields in our management plan. They were culture and tourism, development, housing, mobility, urban planning and development, environment and culture, and awareness raising and research. So we took a cross-sectoral approach, but then when we started working, we had some smaller subgroups, but as you see, we have a very holistic view of World Heritage. It's not only about preservation, it's not only about tourism, it's really a cross-cutting topic that touches a lot of things within the city. So the structure of the management plan is, it consists of visions, principles, objectives, and then concrete measures. So we really went down on a very concrete level, because we think it is not enough only to talk about what we want to have, but we need to come very concrete. How can we achieve it? Where do we find the money? Who is responsible? So we see the management plan not as a one-time thing, as a nice book that is ready and is now produced and signed by the city council, but we see it more as a continual process. We see it as a system that needs continual improvement, and the management plan is really only one cut of time at a certain specific point. So the working group that we created will continue to work even now, after the management plan is ready. We meet 1 to 2 times a year and try to keep it alive. So if you look, for example, at these fields of action of environment and leisure, this is what comes out of it. We made a voting system and in the end identify 60 key measures. Here you have the objective, the expansion of the green spaces. We heard some presentations about similar things today. And then one measure is, for example, implementation and to promote the depaving. And this was something that came, you see the small b, this came from the citizens. B is for Bürger, it means citizens in German. So the ideas from the citizens are directly in the paper at the end. So, and it's also clearly marked. It was very important for us that the citizens don't have the feeling that they're invited to talk, but at the end they don't find their ideas anymore. So it's all about the harmony between the heritage, the living city, and the inhabitants. Here, for example, the idea was housing. We want to create a space that is popular for young and old in the city center. We made an evaluation just last December, which is roughly about 1 year after the management plan was accepted by the city council, and we found out that about 35% of the actions were already carried out. One of it is the visitor center. You see it in the left upper corner, or in the right down corner. It's a piece of art where you can learn about the World Heritage Site. So what were really the success factors? Because, I mean, I've seen a lot of management plans, and I know that a lot of management plans are underway at the moment. So I think the most important thing, we really took an integrated approach. It's a lot of work to bring everyone together, but in the end it really pays, because when you are behind a common goal, you cannot pay this with gold. And we really took an effort and long hours to collect all the people behind us and bring them around one table. The second success factor, in my opinion, is that we worked very much action-based oriented. We didn't stop on the level of objectives, but we became very concrete and very specific, and also with financial figures. We integrated also in our core group the people who were responsible for state funding. They were in the group from the very beginning, so they can talk about the projects that later on we hopefully they give money for. Of course, another success factor is the participatory preparation process. The citizen played a major role in our whole process, and the feedback we received for the citizens' participation was really good, because we have chosen small groups with the citizens, and the citizens always work together with one officer from the city administration. So it was not a big auditorium, but it was a small group where a lot of trust can build up and the people can really get in contact with each other. Of course, a big success factor when you look at the future is a continual improvement. It's not ready. A management plan is not something that you produce, you go towards some big aim and then it's ready. It needs to be continually improved, and that's exactly what we do. And we have agreed that every 3 years we will have this big citizen participation again and ask the citizen again, what do you think about the proposed projects? So to give you a little bit the wider perspective and why I think this is interesting and important for all World Heritage Cities, this was part of the HERO project. HERO stands for Heritage as Opportunity. It was a European-funded project that was carried out during 3 years. And we had a wide range of European cities that took part. It was 9 cities, you can see it here in the map. And it was about historic urban landscape and how to keep the balance in this historic urban landscape through a good management plan. The time was from April 2008 till July 2012. And you can see from the map that we try to involve a broad range of cities. Some were quite large, as Liverpool, for example, or Naples, and other cities were quite small, like Sighisoara in Romania, you have here. And also the cities were from a better-off economic environment, and some were from a not-so-well-off economic environment. Because we wanted to define a methodology that can really be used also in a difficult economic environment. This is not something that you can only do in a very well-developed setting with a very advanced administration. Other cities that were part were Vilnius, then Lublin in Poland, Poitiers in France, Graz in Austria, and as I already said, Liverpool and Naples. We had 2 special topics that we dealt with. One was the topic of visual integrity. You know that most problems in connection with World Heritage come with high-rise buildings, so this is a topic that we especially dealt with. And the second one is multifunctional areas. We want the World Heritage cities to be multifunctional areas. How can we do this? How can we let them keep like this? We developed quite a range of publications, and one I think is especially interesting for you. It's all under the brand name of HERO and Urbex. When you Google it, you will find all of them. So we produced, for example, the local action plans for all the cities. You can read them, and the core output really is the guidebook. And this is a guidebook that gives you a clear idea about the methodology, how to make a management plan. It's called The Road to Success Integrated Management of Historic Towns Guidebook. It's free, it's on PDF, it's in 3 languages, and I think this is a very useful contribution for the organization of World Heritage Cities, because it is proof that this methodology works. We tried it in the 9 European cities. We were successful. We triggered about 100 million euros investment in these 9 European cities through this methodology. So this is also about getting money into your World Heritage cities. Another thing we made, especially for the mayors, for the political level, is some recommendations for the mayors. Why should you make heritage your #1 priority? We made a small publication, not too long, because mayors don't read too long papers, and we try to give a clear use to the mayors why it is worth to put heritage on the top of their papers. So we think to start a heritage-based development approach is a good idea, and the management plan is really the backbone. It's really the core of a good management. If you do this in a good way, you can benefit from it for many, many years. And it's also the groundwork for using funding sources. Because if you integrate your funding authorities into this process, and we were very successful in that, in the 9 European cities, you can trigger investments in your World Heritage cities. So we think this is a model methodology. It is tested in 9 European cities. It is used now by 25 cities worldwide. The last one I've heard of is Kingston Town in Jamaica or Castra in Albania. So a lot of cities use this model. And again, the factors of success is the integrated approach, it's the action-based orientation, it's the participatory preparation process, and the continual improvement of the whole system. So thank you very much for your attention.